Order of operations. You may know order of operations under another name. It's also known as BEDMAS. And BEDMAS stands for brackets, exponents, division and multiplication, and addition and subtraction. BEDMAS is a mathematical convention which is used all around the world so that mathematicians know what order to do the mathematical operations in so they arrive at the same answer. That helps us avoid, if we have 2 plus 3 times 5, one person saying, oh, you do 2 plus 3 first, and then you multiply by 5, which is 25, and another person saying, no, wait a sec, you do the 5 times 3 first, and then you add 2. So, which one's right? Well, mathematicians decided that the first one isn't right under most cases, and that they want the second one to be right, and this acronym, BEDMAS, is what helps us achieve that standard, or that convention. And essentially, it means first you do anything inside brackets, then you do any exponents, and you work your way down this list. Division and multiplication are done together, and you do them left to right, the same way that you read, and adding and subtraction is done last, and that's also left to right. You've had some experience with order of operations in the past, hopefully, but now when we add in some exponents, it does get a little bit tricky. Let's look at a couple of examples. So typically the instructions are to simplify, and then you're given a question to work with. So in this case, we'll do 2 times 4 minus negative 6 plus 3 divided by negative 1 minus 5. And we have to try to figure out what to do first, second, third, fourth in order to get our answer. So I'll just put the letters of BEDMAS over here to remind myself. The first step I do is inside of brackets, so I work on this part first. Please, when you are showing your work, do not skip any steps, and do them in the proper order. Please, when you are doing your work, please show all steps and make sure each line is equivalent to the line before. And that means no missing out on any of the other work on a line. For instance, even though I'm only doing this work, which is negative 3, please make sure you write everything else down. So, brackets are done. There's none left. There are no exponents. So that one is also complete. I go on to division and multiplication, which I do from the left to the right. So I look for multiplication. I complete that. A negative and a negative together is a positive, divided by negative 1 minus 5. So there were a couple of multiplication and division steps in here. This is multiplication. This is also division. So I'll do it in a couple of steps. This becomes negative 3 minus 5. If you want to take care of that, you can take care. And now adding and subtracting. 8 take away 3 is 5. 5 take away 5 is 0. Let's look at a second example of this. So again, I'll just put my letters down so I can work through this. In this case, there's no brackets to do, so I go on to do exponents, and I do 3 squared, which is 9, and 2 squared, which is 4. Then I look for any division and multiplication. There's a division statement right here, so I do that. So I copy everything else down, and that's minus 4. And now I go on to adding and subtracting. 8 take away 9 is negative 1, minus 4 more is negative 5. Here's a third example. 8 minus 3 squared plus 2 squared plus negative 1 squared over 5, 2 plus 1 squared minus negative 1 cubed. I'll give myself a little bit more room here to do this. And by the way, as you're watching these videos, it might be a good time, in this case, pause this video if you haven't printed out the notes, if you're actually writing the notes, pause the video after this little commentary and try this question yourself. See if you can walk through BEDMAS and come to the same solution that I'm going to show you. So go ahead, pause it now and try it. Here's the solution. So each line's going to be equal to the line above, and I do have like a big fraction like this. So with fractions, the top of the fraction and the bottom of the fraction are considered brackets. So it's really like this is all getting divided by this. Or if you wanted to write it in one line, I'll write it and then I'm going to erase it. This part gets divided by this bottom piece of algebra. You can actually do these questions that way if you like. You work with the inside of brackets and the inside of brackets and work down the page. I prefer working with fractions, so I'm going to show it that way. So my first step is anything inside brackets. So inside this bracket, nope. Inside this bracket, yep. So I rewrite everything as it is, and I just deal with inside brackets. That's it. Inside of brackets is done. Now I go on to exponents. So 8 minus 9 plus 4 plus. This means -1 times -1. So that's positive 1. On the denominator, exponents. 5, this is times 9 minus -1 times -1 times -1 is -1. Exponents are done. I now go on to division and multiplication. Now, of course, I'm treating this like brackets still on the top and on the bottom. So I don't do the division of the numerator by the denominator until I have finished what is the numerator worth and what is the denominator worth. And the only multiplication and division really are these parts right here and here. So I'm just going to jump up here so that I have a little bit more space. My numerator is 8 minus 9 plus 4 plus 1. That's all adding and subtracting. My denominator is 45 plus 1. So division and multiplication are essentially done. I go to adding and subtracting. 8 take away 9 is -1, plus 1 is 0, plus 4 is 4, and on the bottom is 46. And now I can simplify this fraction, which is essentially doing division, and 4 divided by 46 can become 2 over 23, and I have a final answer that's in lowest terms. Done. Make sure you are carefully working through the BEDMAS order of operations in the correct order. Okay, lots of practice in class. We'll see you then.